Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, JV, coming to you live this Thursday, January the 2nd, 2025. Happy New Year for everybody. Not so happy in the US, of course. I'm not going to call it the United States of America. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I'm going to refer to the US as the divided states because let's face it, there's no unity in the US and in that country anymore. Everything is polarized. Everything is divided 50-50, and everything is politicized. And of course, the reason I'm making this video is because of the recent developments that took place yesterday, both in New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada, with two separate attacks that left mass casualties, that left dozens of people dead. And one of the most gruesome events that the city of New Orleans has witnessed. And let me explain to you why I think the divided states of America is a country that has reached the point of no return, and it has gone through the guardrails, the proverbial metaphor that's used when you are basically on a collision course and you are on the road to basically dying, or basically collapsing, of basically falling apart. And that is precisely what's going on with this country. According to sources, according to the news, which I'll get to, by the way, I'll get to the mainstream media later on in this video and how disgusted I am with them. But according to reports, the perpetrator of the attack in New Orleans was a 40-year-old Texas born and raised former military man with a very funny sounding name in the ears of the American and the ears of Americans. Let's face it, it's a difficult name for me to pronounce, and to be honest with you, I don't know the name of the individual, so I do apologize. I don't want to make light of that, but he was a Texas man who decided that it was a good idea to get into a white pickup truck that he rented, strap himself with a bunch of firearms, and go to one of the most congested streets in the city of New Orleans. It's one of the most popular avenues in the entire country, Bourbon Street, where all the degenerates go and basically party all day and party all night, and all the women become whores and they take their masks off and they go butt wild over there. Well, this guy decided that it was a good idea to just indiscriminately run over as many people as he could. And unfortunately, he was very successful. He ran over approximately 30 to 40 people, killed about 15 at least. There's multiple other injured individuals that are hospitalized, some with serious injuries, some with not so serious injuries. And it is reported that the city did a horrible job of protecting the party goers. There was basically no protection for these individuals, and as a result, there was multiple casualties. I believe on the same day. Remember, I'm here in Mexico City, so I really don't get the news as prominently as I do when I'm up in the divided states of America. But when I heard the news that there was another explosion that took place in Las Vegas. It took place outside of the one of the Trump hotels. I wonder why that was. You don't think there was a symbolism there? Trump hotel and a Cybertruck. What a coincidence! To me, that's very symbolic. I think that is a protest by this individual. He probably didn't like the fact that Trump and Elon Musk stole the election. But that's a separate story. This guy decided that he was going to rent a Cybertruck, fill it up with explosives, and detonate the explosives in front of the hotel. I don't know whether or not there was any casualties there, but it was another attack. And so the country was in a full-fledged panic attack, reminiscing of what happened, of course, on September 11th, 2020. In 2001, September 11, 2001, when on a grander scale, there was a massive terrorist attack that obviously everybody knows about in the world. So that's basically what happened on New Year's Day. And so the question begs, the question has to be asked, why is it that Americans are so infatuated with death? Why is it that Americans are so infatuated with killing innocent people? Why is it that this country has lost its collective mind? And is there really no return for the country? Symbolically speaking, metaphorically speaking, have we gone over the guardrail? Is this it? I mean, this is crazy. This is insanity. You really can't go out in public anymore. And in the United States, it doesn't matter where you are. You are susceptible to being a target and susceptible to being killed by a random, crazy lunatic, horrible human being. That's just a reality. The other thing that really caught my attention is very simple, very simply put. I was listening to the mainstream media, and they kept reporting the two incidents as terrorist attacks, which there's no question that they were terrorist attacks. Nobody's going to dispute that. Nobody's going to deny that these were terrorist attacks. Of course they were. But the thing that disgustes me about the mainstream media is, why is it that when a white male, a Christian, who grabs an AR-15, goes into a mosque, goes into a synagogue, goes into a theater, goes into a grocery store, goes into a hotel and starts randomly shooting concert goers across the street, somebody that goes into a school, why is it that these people are not called terrorists? Why are those incidents not called terrorist attacks? It just doesn't make any sense. To me, that is a sign of racism. That is a sign of discrimination. That is another example of how racism is in America's DNA. It's in the U.S.'s DNA. It's always been there. The country was founded and it was built on racism, and it continues to be the case. And mainstream media is not doing us any favors by discriminating and using double standards when describing events as terrorist attacks and other attacks as not being terrorist attacks. You got to remember, this guy was born in Texas, American. He was an American citizen born in Texas. He wasn't a Muslim foreigner like that Neanderthal Marjorie Taylor Greene wants us to believe. He was born in Texas. The same thing with the other scumbag, Donald Trump. Why is it that they call this guy a Muslim who just crossed the border, who happens to have a funny sounding name, like I said at the beginning of the video, who happens to have brown skin? Why is it that they label him as a Muslim terrorist who came illegally into this country? And why is it that if it's a white European Anglo-Saxon man who happens to grab an AR-15 and then actually inflict even more damage, like the lunatic from Las Vegas who killed about 60 people in the country concert in Las Vegas, why is he not called a terrorist? Is it because he's white? That's the question that I ask. So that's the thing that disgusts me about the mainstream media. And I don't care what your fucking opinion is. You know I'm right, man. In both instances, in both cases, both of the perpetrators are American citizens. The only difference, one has a funny sounding name from the Middle East who happens to be brown, and the other individuals are white males who have European blood in them. That is the only difference. And so one is called a terrorist and the other guy is called a mentally disturbed individual. That's it. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the problem with the divided states of America. So at this point, I don't know what else I can say. The country is in a complete meltdown. Things are just going to get worse. Nothing's getting better. The only thing that's getting better is for the oligarchs, for the uber rich people, for the politicians who happen to be multimillionaires across the aisles. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. That's the reason why they're both singing Kumbaya and they're both just dancing to the tunes of all the lobbyists that are giving them a bunch of money. They're the only ones that are going to benefit moving forward. The rest of the country is just going to burn in hell. And that's and another reason why I think this guy committed the hideous crime that he did, the guy from New Orleans, or the Texas man who went to New Orleans and ran over people, is because allegedly he had about $30,000 in debt from back mortgage payments that he didn't make. And he was also having some issues with his wife. They were going through some divorce issues. So this man had a lot of problems. He was a disturbed guy. And he is a byproduct, I think, of a lot of the shit that's going on in the divided states of America. A country that has no middle class anymore. A country that is run by oligarchs, like a guy who's not even an American. He's a product of the apartheid state of South Africa. For God's sakes, he's the de facto president. Let's be honest. He's going to be running things in the country, and he's an oligarch. And all the oligarchs are going to make they're going to make out like bandits, and the rest of us peons, the rest of us peasants, are just going to suffer the consequences. But anyway, the United States, or the divided states of America, it is a country that is totally fucked up.